When things are well in the home, everything goes well. When the marriage relationship is flourishing, all areas of life seem to be flourishing as well. The opposite, unfortunately, is also true. When there's tension in the marital relationship, when there's difficulties, when there's not harmony, when people don't understand each other, when people don't feel appreciated, supported, or able to do what God has called them to do in the home, there is no harmony, there is no flourishing, everything becomes complicated and everything becomes difficult. Take that reality that all of us who are married can fully understand and put it into a missionary context where everything is magnified and intensified. Eyes are on you. People are observing you because you're different. And then you have the task of trying to reach the lost people, the spiritual warfare, everything else going on when the enemy's work is primarily focused on you because you're the one bringing the gospel to the people who desperately need it. And things can become a disaster. Having a fruitful marriage is absolutely fundamental, very, very important for missions work. And not only that, it's also our marriages are designed to be a mini reflection of Jesus Christ and his love towards the church. Every little family, every marriage is like a miniature church in itself that reflects the glory of God, is a light in the darkness in our world. So today we're going to look at a book that I highly recommend for all men to read. All Christians can gain from this, but especially when you're getting involved in missions, there's some phenomenal concepts in this book here by Doug Wilson called How to Exasperate Your Wife. That's the name of the book. Very, very good resource that we highly recommend. If you just look at the cover of this book, it's absolutely hilarious. It makes me laugh. Seeing this man here with his chest bare, standing on the couch as if he's running things. Really a mind-blowing concept. And if you know Doug Wilson, he's a true wordsmith. Such a brilliant mind on the man. And you may disagree with him on a few things. He may be a bit provocative at times, but nobody could argue that he lacks a good mind. He's very, very quick, quick on his feet, very good thinker, very knowledgeable, and very much also experienced. And in this book, I found all these things to be true. Great insight here. It's a simple read. It's an easy book to read, but filled with very, very important concepts. And one thing I appreciated was how he defined the roles of marriage in this book and pointed out that the wife, her domain is the household. You need to get her well equipped to do all that God has called her to do. She needs to understand that's her domain. Yes, the husband, he's the head of the house, but in a real sense, Doug says, he's like a guest in the house because her domain is the house. That's her territory to reign, to rule, and and you need to consider yourself like a guest almost. Make sure she has everything you need. Be humble, and you can see your wife flourish when you have a good understanding of that. So he gets into that in a lot more detail, and it's very good. But there's also some really good content in here, specifically for the husband. He even has a chapter, How to Exasperate Your Wife. And these are all the things you would not want to do. But unfortunately, too many of us guys, we do this stuff and we don't realize it. And it's a problem. But the chapter that I think I appreciated the most was a chapter here where he talks about when he had a house built, or he worked to build a house. I don't remember if he built it or he had it built. But observing the construction process of the house. He compared the man to the wood that builds the house. He compared man to the walls of the house. There's an exterior wall, which needs to be hard and protective. There's an interior wall, which needs to be comfortable, warm, embracing, and so on. And then there needs to be windows in the wall to let light into the house and also let us see out of the house. He has a good analogy, good illustration for that as well. But it can't just be an open hole in the wall. There has to still be glass so we don't expose our family and kids too much to the fallenness of the world or to the elements of the world, we could say, as we look at that analogy properly. The last paragraph of this chapter it's titled 2x6. A good godly man needs to be like a 2x6 piece of lumber, wood, that builds a good wall to protect his family, to care for his family, to comfort his family, sustain his family, put a roof over their head, and all this. And we read this. It is important to remember that the 2x6 husband is not necessarily finish wood. In other words, it's not fancy wood, the 2x6. That's wood for keeping things up, keeping things running properly, and all those other things we mentioned. It is far easier to get splinters from handling this wood than from the hard wood meant to build a coffee table. So this kind of wood, this kind of man, may be rough around the edges, in other words, he's saying. He is not the prettiest thing, especially with that boy's cascade stamp on top of the knot of the wood. This is wood that is meant to be nailed. So a man like this, he's meant to be nailed, meant to be fixed, meant to be cut. And when a saw runs through this kind of wood, the smell, an aroma of sacrifice, is one of the sweetest smells on earth. There's a lot of good books out there on marriage. There's a lot of good books out there on relationships, also on parenting. But this one in particular, for the one who's particularly going to be thinking about a missions career, doing missions work, I would strongly encourage you to read this, enjoy it, go back through it again, read it with your wife. She'll be thrilled to hear some of this stuff as well, and embrace this concept. Learn from this, and I guarantee you, your marriage will flourish. It'll get better for sure. But you want to make sure, especially when it comes to missions work and you're doing missions work, you need a solid relationship. Now that's something God gives. He enables us to do, but He also, as we read here, we can mess up marriages. So we need to make sure we have a good understanding of how they work, how God designed the marriage to work, and that we're doing our part, like a good piece of wood sacrificing itself for the edification of the house. If you're interested in getting the book, we'll make sure to leave in the show notes a copy of the link so you can click on it, go to Amazon or something like that, click on it and buy yourself a copy. We don't get anything out of this, but we'll just make it easy for you to go and get yourself a copy of this book as well. We strongly recommend it. God bless you. Till the next time. Ciao, ciao.